Welcome to the Region of Solution podcast, where we give you the insider's take on the impactful work and initiatives being undertaken at ESCAP. I'm Sompot Suphutthamongkhon. This episode, we are exploring a groundbreaking partnership between ASEAN and ESCAP, designed to align our mutual sustainability ambitions and drive progress across Southeast Asia. By 2025, this initiative aims to promote sustainable development by focusing on 5 key priority areas, including poverty eradication, infrastructure and connectivity, sustainable management of natural resources, sustainable production and consumption, and resilience. A crucial part of this effort is capacity building, ensuring that the region is well equipped to achieve these ambitious goals. How does this initiative actually work? How are policies shaped, and what impact we expect? We'll break it all down in this episode, so stay tuned as we explore how this initiative is accelerating regional cooperation and aligning ASEAN's Community Vision 2025 with the UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Joining us today, we have Ruhimat Soerakoesoemah Rani, Head of ESCAP Subregional Office for Southeast Asia, and Chatvadee Chindawongse, Deputy Director General of the Department of ASEAN Affairs of the Thai Foreign Ministry. Welcome both. Kun Chatvadee, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your journeys in this field?
Thank you, Kun Sompot, for this opportunity to share of Thailand's views on how we are working with ESCAP to move forward the SDGs agenda. This initiative started when Thailand took up the role of the ASEAN Coordinator for Sustainable Development Cooperation back in 2016. Incidentally, I was assigned to the department. But when I first took up the job during the COVID time, when I came in and worked on this, because within our department, we focus our work on ASEAN. But this initiative was actually something that we tried to link up our regional efforts with the global effort on sustainability. It's been a very inspiring journey for me personally. I really feel that there are a lot of things that we at ASEAN can really work with global or international institutions like the UN or the ESCAP to take this journey forward.
How about you, Ronnie? Can you tell us about your journey to the development world of the UN?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ronnie from the Regional Office for Southeast Asia at ESCAP. So basically, the sub-region covers the 11 countries of Southeast Asia. But when you look at the region itself, there is an organization called ASEAN. And this is where I first met Kun Chatvadee, and we were able to discuss further how we can promote sustainable development in the region. Because as you know, ASEAN has been very active supporting and promoting as well as achieving sustainable development agenda under the leadership of Thailand. When I joined the ESCAP in 2019, it was still at the stages of the complementarities whereby we tried to align the ASEAN Vision 2025 and the 2030 agenda. So what we mean by complementarities is that you have 2 separate frameworks, each has their own objectives, but at the same time, how do we ensure that sustainable development exists on both programs? And this is where we're working closely with Kun Chatvadee, Thailand, as well as ASEAN, the ASEAN Secretariat. And this is our principal role at ESCAP. And this is where we're trying to ensure that agendas, the programs, initiatives all align with the bigger picture, which is how do you have sustainable, inclusive, and resilient Southeast Asia. So this is how I started to join this wonderful initiative and to see how we can move forward the sustainable development agenda with Thailand.
It's brilliant to have you both joining us today. So one of the first questions we ask on every episode is, what solutions are you working on for the region?
We are trying to do as part of the solutions is that we are trying to build partnership, not just among ASEAN countries or stakeholders in the region, but what we are trying to build is the partnerships of all partners around the world. We are working with not just ASEAN countries, but we are also reaching out to countries in Europe or China, Japan, or even the US or Canada. So we are working and reaching out to the rest of the world to help us achieve what we try to achieve, both in the ASEAN vision and also commitments that we have tied on in the SDG at the UN level.
Thank you. Sounds inspirational and comprehensive.
Kun Chatvadee made the point that solutions comes in many forms, either through projects, initiatives, partnerships, and also many forms, because it is really how you engage, how you work, collaborate with all stakeholders, because solutions do not come from an individual entity or a country. That's why in ASEAN, you have a group of countries willing to work together to collaborate on common issues, common challenges, and find common solutions. And in this case, the Southeast Asia's regional solutions. And this is where ESCAP comes comes in. We are an intergovernmental platform. We work with 53 governments or countries in the Asia Pacific region. So we would like to use that platform to not only instill or promote conversations, dialogue among member states, but also how do we project or showcase Southeast Asia or ASEAN successes at the global level. I think this is where ASEAN has a lot to share with countries outside of Southeast Asia. Because don't forget, we are one of the most dynamic subregions in the world. Innovations, the trade activities, the connectivity with other countries allow solutions to be made to be able to see how it fits into each country, because there is no one fit solution for all.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. So many of our listeners will be hearing about this collaboration for the first time. Can you give a brief explanation of the Complementarities Initiative and why it is relevant to all people in Southeast Asia?
As mentioned earlier by Ronnie, what we are trying to build upon this collaboration is to promote or enhance the complementarities between the frameworks of ASEAN and the UN. That's why we call it Complementarities Initiative. It's like killing two birds with one stone. We view that the ASEAN leaders or ASEAN countries have committed ourselves to building inclusive, resilient, sustainable, people-centered community in the region. And this is something very similar to our commitments at the global level for the UN SDGs. That's why we do one thing, but we achieve two frameworks. That's where it's all coming from. This is really trying to synergize the efforts by countries, by organizations at all levels, so that we can really focus our resources, our energy within the one direction that we are moving forward to.
So Ronnie, you talk about achievements and all that. So in your opinions, what have been some of the biggest successes of this initiative so far?
When we first started, we can see that, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals was not really part of the formulation of, let's say, some ASEAN initiatives. It was an afterthought, only because the awareness of Sustainable Development Goals was not really embedded when we first conceptualized. But with the help of Thailand as the lead for ASEAN, we are able to put into initiatives that first and foremost talks about how do you ensure that there is inclusiveness, resilience, sustainability in terms of the project output and outcomes. We have already seen the success of the complementarities, whereby the ASEAN and UN understanding of sustainable development is already part of the process itself. So we are making good progress in formulating much more activities, much more engagements with governments of ASEAN, private sector, CSOs, and also academia, and most importantly, the youth.
So, Chatvadee, do you have any inspiring story from Southeast Asia countries putting policy into real action?
We have set up the ASEAN Center for Sustainable Development Studies and Dialogue. We call it in short ACSDSD. This center, when it is set up, it's designed to be a kind of like an implementation arm. We are working with the center for the past 2 years on an ASEAN SDGs youth camp. The youth is the ones leading the path forward in terms of promoting sustainable development. And what we are trying to achieve from this project is to build a network of youth, of future leaders over region, where they share the same vision on sustainable development, where they share the same passion of how to move forward economic growth, but not at the expense of earth or environment.
Thank you. Wonderful. How has ASEAN's approach to some of the key complementarity pillars evolved, and what next? Ronnie, please.
You may take note that both Kun Chatvadee and myself are closely working with ASEAN member states and the ASEAN Secretariat. And it is only through this close consultation engagement that we are able to pursue continued constructive dialogue on sustainable development, because it is not an easy topic. There are many different and diverse interests. But what is of utmost importance is that we see the same vision for the region.
Thank you. Kun Chatvadee, would you like to add something?
Again, partnership is very important, and collaboration, not just between Thailand and ESCAP, but also ASEAN or the ASEAN Secretariat has also an important role to play. And what's next? We are having a new vision for the ASEAN community. The leaders are going to adopt this in May. That's why we are working on a kind of an update on the Complementarities Initiative, taking into account mega trends and also emerging trends, so that this initiative remains relevant to the evolving circumstances regarding the SDGs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The phrase building resilience is used a lot when we talk about challenges that the region and the world at large face these days. How does ASEAN envision resilience, and where does the complementarity angle fit in?
The the word resilience is a very difficult word to translate. When we talk about resilience, it's really something you have the capacity to prevent something bad from happening first. And then if it happens, then you have the ability to recover very quickly. With the updated complementarities initiative that I just mentioned, we really hope that we will help address some issues that are really cross-cutting. It's not just, for example, like climate change. It's not really just climate change. It's not just the environmental people working on this, but also business people financing to achieve what we like to achieve in terms of sustainable development. So I would say that this is where we try to address that. The complementarity initiative that we are working on is really contributing to the region's resilience in all aspects.
Chatvadee has already said it all, because resilience comes in many forms, and it's really the ability to tackle multi-sectoral and multi-thematic challenges simultaneously, but at the same time accomplishing it through a regional agenda based on common principles and understanding. So it's really a big task, this building resilience, because an individual resilience has to be multiplied in order for it to be successful nationwide, regional-wide. So that's where the focus has to be. It's allowing the building of capacity of everyone in order to achieve the common goal. That approach in itself requires resources, training, and definitely commitment from everyone.
Thank you for the fascinating insight into the incredible collaboration. I'm sure there are many more positive updates to come in the near future. So before we wrap up, what would you like our listener to take away from today's conversation?
First of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen. I hope this was very informative, because again, what we would both like to stress is that SDGs are still relevant, and it's important that we continue our efforts individually, in partnerships with everyone. So my main message would probably be to all you students and kids out there. I want you to take the effort and possibly classes on SDGs at your school or in university. If there isn't such an opportunity, please contact me and we can help arrange something, because the future is what you want and it's what you make of it today.
I think we just happen to think along the same line, because my last message would be to the youth. Everything starts at ourselves. If you like to live in a livable world, it starts from you. What we at the government level is trying to do is to lay out a framework or ecosystems to help you achieve a sustainable development, a sustainability agenda.
Fully agree.
Thank you so much. That's all for today's episode. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and be a part of the solution for our region. Thank you.